Hi there, welcome to the Happy Chicken Coop YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to be talking about the Buff Brahma Bantam Chicken breed, BBB, Buff Brahma Bantam, and everything you need to know about that breed. Before I get into that, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also be sure to subscribe to our website, thehappychickencoop.com. If you subscribe using the link in the description, you'll receive a free ebook on the 10 best egg-laying chicken breeds. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. Though a relatively new breed of chicken, the Buff Brahma Bantam is rapidly gaining popularity in the US. These charming chooks are docile and calm with easygoing personalities that make them perfect for families with young children or pets. If you want to add some color and personality to your flock, this breed could be the right choice. But is this the best choice for you? Well, stay tuned to learn everything you need to know about this charismatic breed. So, what is the Buff Brahma chicken? The Brahma, it's the king of chickens. However, when it comes to raising bantams, that won't be the case. Bantams are famous for their pint-sized perfection. However, before I explain what a Buff Brahma Bantam is, it's important to break down the history of the Buff Brahma breed. This massive breed is known primarily for its size. An American breed, it was created in the US from birds imported from Shanghai and was primarily a meat bird until 1930 or so. A gentle, docile breed, this gentle giant is the perfect choice for a family due to its docile nature. It lays large amounts of big brown eggs and can also be raised for meat. The Brahma is also often raised as a pet or for exhibition. It's easy to handle and exceptionally calm to boot. There are many different colors of Brahmas. 3 are recognized by the American standards of perfection: dark, buff, and light. The light Brahma has a white base color with black hackles, edged in weight, and saddle feathers on roosters striped with black. Buff Brahmas, however, are some of the most beautiful to behold. They have the same patterns of black as white, but with golden buff base colors instead of white. In addition to the colors recognized by the American Poultry Association, the Australian Poultry Association also accepts blue, create, partridge, black, and barred varieties. There is no doubt about it, Brahmas are big. Roosters can weigh up to 12 pounds, while hens typically tip the scales at 9 or 10. Again, this breed was once primarily raised for meat, but is now raised as a great winter layer of large brown eggs. Now, you might be thinking, I love the beauty and other characteristics of the Buff Brahma, but it's just too big for my coop. What should I do? The good news is that there's an alternative. An alternative can be found in the Buff Brahma Bantam. Now, let's talk about bantams. What are bantams? A bantam chicken is a miniature version of regular breeds. They can be about a half or 2/3 of the size of regular birds. There are several types of bantams to consider. True bantams are those with no large fowl counterpart. These are naturally occurring breeds without the need for human intervention or specialized breeding. Some examples are Nankin and Seabright chickens. There are also miniaturized bantams made from standard breeds of birds like the Rhode Island Red, the Orpington, or the Buff Brahma. Finally, some developed bantams naturally exist as small breeds but have been developed even further with human existence. An example includes the Pekin or Belgian chicken. All right, now let's dive into the history of the Buff Brahma. These gorgeous birds were first recognized in the US in 1898. A fancy breed, probably not going to be the best option if you want to raise chickens for meat, but it's an outstanding pick if you're interested in keeping chickens as pets or for eggs. These miniature birds are absolutely delightful. Although they're difficult to find at many hatcheries, the search is worth it. But Buff Brahma Bantams are some of the newest bantams to be introduced, and they mature in about 19 weeks. Now let's talk about the appearance of the Buff Brahma Bantam. For the most part, Buff Brahma Bantams chickens look just like miniature versions of the full-size breed. They have broad shoulders compared to the rest of the bodies with P-combs, making them a practical choice for colder climates. Their plumage is smooth with lots of dense down. They have feathered legs and feet, with each foot containing 4 toes. The Buff Brahma Bantam chickens have broad heads with brows that protrude over the eyes. This unique feature is a beetle brow, and it's quite whimsical to look at. It can be difficult to tell the difference between roosters and hens of this breed. However, you'll be able to find it out by observing their unique behaviors. While roosters tend to be outgoing and curious, hens are more often laid back and not quite as bold. It's easier to differentiate between older chickens too, as the older males have larger combs and pointed hackle feathers. Bantams generally stand around 6 inches in height. Their heads are slightly smaller in comparison to the rest of their bodies. The face of these birds are free from feathers, and they have relatively small wattles. The average female will only weigh around 2 pounds, while a male will tip the scale at about 2.5 to 3 pounds. Now let's dive into the personality of the Buff Brahma Bantam. They're fun-loving chickens who enjoy nothing more than being active and foraging around the chicken yard. If they're allowed to do so, they'll find a large portion of their nutritional requirements while free-ranging on their own. Buff Brahma Bantams aren't likely to bicker with other chickens, even chickens of other breeds. Even the roosters aren't even known to be aggressive. These calm chickens won't attack you or other birds. Are Buff Brahma Bantam chickens good for eggs? The Buff Brahma Bantam chickens lays a moderate amount of eggs. Generally, each hen will produce about 3 brown eggs each week. They lay during the winter, even when other hens have mostly stopped laying. These chickens generally start laying at around 5 or 6 months of age. They can vary in broodiness, with some tending to be broodier during the regular mating season. Buff Brahma Bantams can be used to hatch their own eggs and tend to be excellent mothers to their chicks. While Bantams won't lay eggs that are quite as popular or plentiful as the standard sized bird, the good news is that Brahma Bantams tend to lay larger and more prolific eggs than the other true Bantam breeds. Now, should I raise the Buff Brahma Bantam for meat? It's not recommended that you raise Bantam chickens of any kind if your ultimate goal is to raise them for meat. Not only are Bantams smaller than most breeds, but these birds tend to grow more slowly. While it might be worth it if you were to raise a full-size Buff Brahma, if you're raising a Bantam, you'll probably find that the extra effort spent in feeding them to full size isn't really worth it. Instead, consider one of the better meat breeds. And if you're interested in the meat breeds, we've done a video on it. I'll link to that in the description or a link to it in the video here. Now, do Buff Brahma Bantams have any health issues? They aren't prone to very many health issues. Of course, you'll need to remain vigilant for the usual concerns of lice, mites, and ticks. They can be a problematic thing for your chickens of any breed. You'll want to provide your chickens with adequate access to dust baths and clean the coop regularly to prevent parasites like these from becoming an issue. The only other unusual concern to note is the feathered feet for these birds. These feet can easily become sodden and dirty, which can be an issue during the wet, cold days of winter. Make sure your birds always have a place to dry off their feet. To prevent this, it's easier for ice and mud to build up around the toes, leading to ice balls. In severe cases, this can cause your chickens to lose their toes, so be sure to inspect each bird regularly for any buildup. These feathered feet can also be more attractive for mites and lice, so do your best to keep the coop clean and consider using parasiticide treatments when an outbreak is terrible. Now, let's dive into how to raise the Buff Brahma Bantam chicken. For the most part, Buff Brahma Bantam chickens can be raised just as you would care for their full-size counterparts. It's important to note that since Bantams can become chilled more easily than full-size bird, proper housing is key. Make sure your poultry barn is dry and draft proof. A good part about raising Buff Brahma Bantams is that they require half the space of their full-size counterparts. They'll need around 2 square feet in the coop with 4 square feet in the run, though more never hurts either. You also need plenty of perches. Put these at varying heights so all your birds, even the Bantams, can get to them. You can even put some branches or a small tree in the run, which your chickens will love. Otherwise, all you'll need to do for these birds is to provide them with plenty of appropriate water and food. Bantams eat only 1 pound of feed per month. You'll save quite a lot on your feed bill. Feed your chicks a 20% protein crumble for the first few weeks. After about 16 weeks of age, these chickens can be switched to over 16% feed formulated for layers. Be sure to provide supplemental calcium. While regular Brahmas aren't the best at flying due to their heavy weights, Bantams tend to be good flyers. Because of this, you may want to cover the run. Finally, be sure to add multiple Bantams to the coop at once rather than just 1 or 2. Since they're smaller than other chicks, they are subjected to bullying from the larger girls. Now, a quick rundown of the benefits of raising Buff Brahma Bantam chickens. One benefit is that they tend to have a relatively long life expectancy, especially when compared to their full-size bird. They can live up to 10 to 15 years, although 7 or 8 is more reasonable. Bantams require less feed than full-size chicks. It's a huge benefit if you want to get eggs from your flock, but still don't want to spend hundreds of dollars on feed every month. The Buff Brahma chicken lays just as many eggs as birds of other breeds. In fact, they can lay eggs even during winter, like I said before, when hens of most other breeds will stop laying. These birds are gentle and quiet, making them a good choice if you have neighbors nearby, and they're calm, peaceful, and self-assured. These chickens are an absolute delight to interact with. They're cuddly and friendly, plus they get along well with chickens of other breeds. Now let's get into a quick rundown of the challenges of raising Buff Brahma Bantam chickens. There are a few downsides. For starters, keep in mind that these tiny birds have a higher metabolic rate, so they might not do as well in intense cold as larger hens. That's not always the case, but certain individuals may require warmer conditions if they live in a cold climate. On the flip side, it's also important to keep these chickens out of intense heat. They have dense feathers that can make the intense summer heat borderline unbearable. So to summarize, if you're looking for a breed of chicken that will produce more eggs than your average farm-raised hen, consider raising Buff Brahma Bantams. These chickens are docile and hardy, but they have been bred to lay plenty of eggs for you. This makes them an excellent choice for people who want fresh, healthy eggs that are loaded with nutrients without having to feed their flock as much grain. Hopefully, this video has proven to help convince you that Buff Brahma Bantams are the right choice for you. Give them a try and see for yourself. Let us know in the comments below if you've tried these chickens and your experience. We'd love to hear from you. That's going to do it for us here at the Happy Chicken Coop. Thanks for listening. If you find our content interesting, if you learned something new, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And with that, I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.